why seniors are looking for alternatives. For many older adults, the word nursing home brings up a mix of fear, sadness, and a sense of finality. It's often seen as the last stop, a place you go when independence is lost and choices disappear. But what if we told you that moving into a nursing home isn't the only option? In fact, millions of seniors today are choosing alternative lifestyles that give them freedom, purpose, and safety without sacrificing dignity. Let's be honest. The traditional nursing home model, shared rooms, strict schedules, limited mobility, institutional food, feels outdated in a world where seniors are living longer, staying sharper, and expecting more from their golden years. Many facilities are understaffed, overbooked, and designed more for medical efficiency than emotional well-being. I want to introduce you to Betty. She's 78 and full of life, a retired teacher, book club member, and plant lover. After her husband passed, her children urged her to move into an assisted facility. They meant well, but Betty toured 3 places and came home in tears. It felt like I'd be giving up everything, she said. My space, my rhythm, my identity. So instead, Betty started researching alternative options, things she had never heard about before. And what she discovered changed everything. Because here's the truth. A wave of new independent living models is rising across the country. Designed to support aging with autonomy, these alternatives offer seniors like Betty the power to design their lives the way they want, even if they need a little help along the way. Whether it's small co-living setups, aging-in-place tech, mobile home villages, or care-sharing communities, seniors are reinventing how we age, and they're not waiting for permission. The rise of shared senior co-living, companionship without sacrificing freedom. Imagine living in a spacious home with a handful of other seniors, each person with their own private room or suite, but sharing a beautiful kitchen, garden, and common areas. There's a rotation for cooking, movie nights in the living room, and someone always nearby in case of emergency. That's the model of senior co-living, and it's one of the most rapidly growing trends in modern aging. Why is it working? Because it brings back what many nursing homes take away: choice, control, and connection. Take the story of Harold and Joe. Best friends since college, both widowers now in their late 70s. Rather than live alone or enter a facility, they rented a 4-bedroom ranch with 2 other seniors. They share grocery bills, cook meals together, and even hired a part-time aide who visits 3 times a week for health checks and light housekeeping. They're thriving, mentally, emotionally, and financially. Some key benefits of co-living: lower cost. Expenses are shared, which means better meals, safer housing, and even part-time caregivers at a fraction of nursing home prices. Mental health. Loneliness is one of the biggest threats to seniors. Co-living keeps social bonds strong. Adaptability. Houses can evolve with mobility needs, adding stair lifts, grab bars, and more without losing the sense of home. If you're worried about independence, don't be. These homes offer privacy and structure, not restrictions. Some online platforms now even match seniors based on interests, health needs, and lifestyles. Kind of like a roommate finder, but built for older adults. Of course, co-living isn't for everyone. Some prefer more solitude or need more direct medical support. But for the active, curious, and community-minded senior, this is a powerful alternative that fosters friendship, agency, and joy. Smart aging in place. How technology is letting seniors stay home longer. One of the most empowering shifts for seniors in recent years has been the rise of smart aging in place technology. In simple terms, that means staying in your own home, comfortably, safely, and independently, thanks to a few helpful tech upgrades. Remember the old fear? That living alone after 70 meant danger? A fall could go unnoticed? A forgotten stove could cause a fire? But now, technology is changing the game. Take a look at how seniors today are using simple tools to create powerful safety nets. Voice assistants, like Alexa or Google Home. Seniors can set medication reminders, call family with their voice, or even control lights without standing up. Smart sensors. These track movement and alert caregivers if there's a long period of inactivity, without invading privacy. Automatic lights and fall sensors. Lights turn on as you walk into a room. Fall detection systems immediately notify emergency contacts. Medication dispensers. These machines sort pills and notify you when it's time to take them, eliminating confusion. Video doorbells and smart locks. See who's at the door and control access remotely for added security. Let's look at Martha. She's 81, lives alone, and refused to leave her house after her husband died. Her family was scared, but with smart plugs, motion lights, a fall sensor bracelet, and Alexa to call for help, she's now safer than ever, and happier too. Let's look at Martha. She's 81, lives alone, and refused to leave her house after her husband died. Her family was scared, but with smart plugs, motion lights, a fall sensor bracelet, and Alexa to call for help, she's now safer than ever, and happier too. These tools are affordable, especially compared to nursing home costs, and many states even offer funding or grants to help install them. But aging in place isn't just about gadgets. It also means hiring part-time home aides, even just for 2 hours a day, meal delivery services designed for seniors, telehealth checkups that bring the doctor to your screen. You create a hybrid support system, tech plus part-time help, so you can stay home, stay sharp, and stay in charge. Tiny homes and senior villages. Small spaces, big freedom. In the heart of Oregon, a group of seniors lives in a circle of small, beautiful homes. Each house is under 600 square feet, easy to clean, cheap to heat, and custom designed with aging bodies in mind. The community shares a garden, a communal kitchen, and hosts weekly dinners. No nurses, no institutional walls, just neighbors who watch out for each other. Welcome to the tiny home and modular village movement, a bold and refreshing answer to senior living. Tiny homes offer the ultimate blend of privacy and simplicity. These aren't glorified sheds. They're elegant, energy efficient, and designed with features like zero-step entries, wide doorways, walk-in showers, and emergency call buttons. Why are seniors choosing this path? Cost savings. Owning or renting a tiny home costs far less than nursing homes or full-size properties. Mobility. Many tiny homes are modular and can be placed in a child's backyard, perfect for staying close to family without giving up independence. Community. Many villages have rules against isolation, encouraging shared meals, walks, and mutual caregiving. Let me introduce James and Linda. In their late 70s, they sold their big house and downsized to a custom-built tiny home near their daughter's place. James says, "I feel more free now than I did at 40. They grow herbs, video chat with grandkids, and have game nights with fellow tiny home neighbors." There are even companies now designing portable elder cottages, also known as granny pods, that can be parked in a backyard and connected to water and power. Tiny homes offer independence without isolation, affordability without compromise, comfort without clutter. If you're someone who values simplicity, nature, and people, you may find tiny living is the biggest gift you give yourself. But what if you're not into co-living or tiny houses? What if you crave independence but still want easy access to care. Intergenerational communities, the future of aging with purpose and people. Imagine this. You walk outside and see children playing, teens helping with groceries, and a retired nurse hosting a free health clinic in the community hall. You're not in a facility. You're in a village where every generation lives together and everyone has a role to play. That's the heart of intergenerational care communities, one of the most forward-thinking alternatives to nursing homes in the modern world. These communities intentionally mix seniors with younger residents, students, single parents, young professionals, in ways that benefit both. You might live next door to a young couple who helps with errands while you offer tutoring, gardening help, or simply a listening ear. The magic here is purpose. Seniors thrive when they feel useful, not just cared for. Young people thrive when they have mentors and stability. Together, they form powerful bonds that transcend age. Real-world examples. In the Netherlands, students live rent-free in senior homes in exchange for 30 volunteer hours per month. U.S. cities like Cleveland and Austin are developing mixed-age neighborhoods with shared parks, grocery co-ops, and wellness centers. Some nonprofits are launching senior foster homes where older adults support children in need, creating mutual healing. Here's the story of Joan. At 82, she moved into a shared apartment above a daycare. She reads to the toddlers, eats lunch with staff, and teaches knitting to teenage volunteers. "I laugh more now than I did in my 60s, she says. These communities provide emotional richness. Laughter, play, and learning are daily vitamins. Safety nets. There's always someone nearby to check in. Low-cost living. Shared services reduce bills for everyone. It's a model rooted in belonging, not just support. Now, here's you don't need to wait until it's time for a nursing home. The future of aging is about choice, connection, and courage. Talk to your family about these alternatives. Research co-living, smart tech, tiny homes, or care communities near you. Start small. Modify your home, reach out to a friend, or explore new housing models. And most importantly, share this video. Someone you love needs to know there's more than one path to grow older. Hit subscribe if you want more human-centered health and lifestyle advice for life after 60. You're not just aging, you're living forward. Let's do it on your terms. Let me ask you a serious question. What separates the small group of seniors who remain sharp, active, and independent after 80 from the rest who slowly fade into weakness, dependency, and isolation? It's not luck, it's not magic, and it's not just genetics. It's functionality. It's the ability to do 5 key things that, according to doctors and geriatric health studies, are directly tied to long life, freedom, and vibrant health. Now here's the shocking truth. Only 5% of people over 80 can still do all 5. That means 95 out of 100 seniors gradually lose one or more of these abilities, and once that decline starts, it rarely stops. One misstep turns into fear of falling. One skipped walk turns into muscle loss. One lost ability turns into needing full-time care. But those 5%, they're doing something differently. They're defying the odds. And you know what? Many of them didn't start out strong. Many had setbacks, surgeries, chronic diseases. Some lost loved ones. Some battled loneliness. But they did something the rest didn't. They protected these 5 abilities like their life depended on it, because it does. In this 6-part series, I'm going to show you exactly what these 5 physical and mental capabilities are, why they matter so much after 80, and how you can start reclaiming them today, even if you've already lost one. Because it's never too late to get stronger, more balanced, and more confident in your body again. But first, we need to set the stage. Let's talk about what aging really looks like for most people after 80. Because once you understand the trap, you'll be far more motivated to avoid it. Most seniors after 80 begin to enter what doctors call the frailty zone. That's a clinical term, frailty. And it's not about age, it's about function. It means a person is walking slower, losing strength, fatigued easily, and is at greater risk of falls, hospitalizations, and death. Frailty doesn't happen overnight. It builds up from decades of sedentary habits, poor nutrition, lost muscle, and unchallenged balance. And once someone becomes frail, it's like a cascade effect. Every system of the body weakens faster. But here's the inspiring part. Frailty is preventable, and in many cases, it's reversible. The seniors who stay out of this danger zone, they're the ones who keep moving, who stay mentally alert, who challenge their balance and mobility every day, who prioritize protein, hydration, strength, and sleep. They don't wait until they feel frail to act. They act to stay ahead of it. Now let me tell you something that will shift your perspective. In a large gerontology study published in the Journal of Aging and Health, researchers found that older adults who could maintain 5 specific daily capabilities had twice the chance of reaching 90+ in good health. Not just living longer, but living stronger. So what are these 5 things only 5% of seniors can still do after 80? They are: get up from the floor without using their hands, climb a full flight of stairs without stopping, walk a half mile without assistance, lift and carry 10 to 15 pounds comfortably, balance on one foot for 10 seconds or longer. Each of these might sound simple at first glance, but when you're 80, they're powerful indicators of total body function, muscle, joint health, core strength, heart and lung capacity, proprioception, and nervous system balance. The power of rising from the floor, the ultimate longevity test. Of all the 5 abilities that define functional independence after 80, this one is the most underrated and overlooked. Can you get up from the floor without using your hands? At first glance, it seems like a simple movement, a basic physical task. But in reality, this ability is one of the most powerful predictors of longevity, fall recovery, and total body resilience. Let me explain. In a landmark Brazilian study involving over 2,000 adults aged 51 to 80, researchers found that individuals who could sit and rise from the floor without using their hands, knees, or support had a significantly lower risk of death over the next 6 years. In fact, those with the lowest scores on this test were 5 to 6 times more likely to die during the study period. Why? Because this movement reflects multiple systems working together: muscle strength, joint flexibility, balance, core coordination, and nervous system control. When you're 30 or 40, you don't think twice about getting off the ground. But as we age, everything from arthritis to muscle loss to poor balance makes this motion harder. And if you fall or collapse and can't rise again, without help, it becomes a medical emergency. That's why doctors now refer to this as the sit-to-rise longevity test. It's not about convenience, it's about survival. Here's the thing: most people after 80 lose this ability because they stop practicing it. You don't use it, you lose it. We stop sitting on the ground. We avoid kneeling. We forget how to shift our weight. We become stiff, hesitant, and fragile. And once the brain starts believing the floor is dangerous, the body follows by tensing up and avoiding it altogether. But what if I told you that you can relearn this skill, that it's never too late to train your body to move with more grace and confidence. Because thousands of seniors have done just that, with intention, patience, and simple daily practice. Let's talk about how. First, assess yourself safely. Sit on the floor with support nearby, a chair or sturdy coffee table. Try standing up without using your hands. If you can't do it, don't worry. That's your baseline. Now, here's how to rebuild this vital ability. Leg strengthening. Do chair squats daily. Sit and stand 10 to 15 times from a firm chair without using your hands. This builds quads, glutes, and hip stability. Core activation. Practice pelvic tilts and seated marches. These strengthen the deep muscles that stabilize your spine and pelvis. Flexibility work. Stretch your hip flexors, hamstrings, and calves gently every morning. When joints move freely, the body moves efficiently. Controlled descent practice. Practice sitting down on a cushion on the floor, using one hand at first if needed, then working toward using less support over time. Get up training. Once on the floor, roll to your side, place one foot flat, push up with your opposite hand, and rise to a kneeling position. Then plant one foot forward and stand. Repeat this 1 to 2 times a day with supervision. The key here is to stay consistent. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to tell your body, we're going to keep this skill alive. With just 5 to 10 minutes a day of dedicated practice, most seniors regain remarkable ease in this motion within weeks. And here's something emotional I want you to hear. Being able to get off the floor without help is about more than survival. It's about dignity. It means you can garden again, play with your grandkids on the carpet, stretch out to do morning exercises, pray, dance, live. This simple movement unlocks a sense of freedom. Freedom from fear, from embarrassment, from dependency. That's why it's the first and most sacred of the 5 longevity movements. And you can protect it even after 80. The strength to rise. Why climbing a full flight of stairs without stopping predicts heart and lung health after 80. There's something so symbolic, almost heroic, about a person in their 80s confidently walking up a full flight of stairs without hesitation. No gasping, no resting on the railing, just pure, steady strength. In fact, doctors often say that if you want to know whether a senior will still be alive and independent 5 years from now, don't check their blood pressure, watch them climb a staircase. Why? Because climbing stairs is one of the most powerful predictors of cardiovascular health, lung capacity, and muscular endurance in older adults. It activates every major muscle group in your lower body: quadriceps, hamstrings, glutes, and calves. It demands coordination from your joints and stability from your core. But most importantly, it challenges your heart and lungs to deliver oxygen efficiently. And here's the truth. By 80, most people can't do it, or won't. They avoid stairs at all costs. Elevators become the default. One short climb leaves them winded, lightheaded, or sore. But that decline didn't happen overnight. It came from years of choosing comfort over challenge. And every time the stairs were avoided, strength was lost. Yet in studies from cardiology and gerontology clinics across Europe and the US, seniors who could climb 10 to 12 steps without rest had up to 40% lower risk of death from all causes. That includes heart attacks, strokes, respiratory illness, and complications from immobility. Climbing stairs is like a stress test your body performs for you every day. And if you can still pass it at 80 or beyond, you're already beating the odds. But what if you can't? What if stairs scare you now? The good news is, just like rising from the floor, this is a skill you can rebuild. Even if you haven't climbed stairs in years, your body is listening. And it wants to grow strong again, if you give it a reason. Let's start with daily strengthening habits that rebuild the muscles and stamina needed for stairs. Step-ups, low surface. Use a sturdy platform 4 to 6 inches high. Step up with your right foot, then your left. Step down. Repeat 10 to 15 times per leg, once or twice a day. This mimics the stair motion. Wall sits. Stand against a wall. Slide down into a gentle squat. Hold for 10 to 30 seconds. This activates your thigh and hip muscles, critical for climbing. Seated marches. Sit in a sturdy chair and lift one knee at a time. Do 20 reps. This activates the hip flexors and core, essential for lifting your foot on each step. Breathing drills. Practice slow, deep breathing while walking. Inhale through the nose for 4 counts. Exhale through the mouth for 6. This strengthens lung control and oxygen efficiency. Mini stair practice. If you have access to 2 to 3 steps, begin by climbing just 1 step up and down slowly, holding a rail if needed. Over time, add more steps and reduce the support. Safety first. If you have knee pain, arthritis, or dizziness, speak with your doctor or physical therapist before attempting full stair climbs. But don't give up. There's always a progression. And here's something I always remind my patients. Climbing stairs isn't just physical, it's mental. It says, I can rise. I can go higher. I still have elevation in me. It's a symbol of autonomy, of still reaching up, even in your later years. If you've ever visited an older person who can no longer go upstairs in their own home, you know how quickly life gets limited. Bedrooms are relocated. Bathrooms become difficult. That little staircase becomes a wall. But for those who keep the ability to climb, doors stay open. Independence remains. Now imagine this. You're 84. You've just come back from the store. You carry your small grocery bag up your front steps, steady, unshaken. You feel your heart beating strong, your legs stable. You pause at the top, not because you're breathless, but because you're grateful. That is what these small exercises give you. Not just health, but pride. The 30-minute lifeline. Why walking half a mile without help predicts longevity, mood, and brain power. If you want to know whether someone over 80 will still be living independently next year, don't check their cholesterol. Don't look at their weight. Just watch them walk. Specifically, watch whether they can walk half a mile, roughly 1,000 steps, without assistance. No cane, no walker, no person holding their arm. That ability alone predicts how long they'll live, how well their brain will function, and how soon they'll need full-time care. Walking endurance is so powerful, it's now considered a functional vital sign by geriatric doctors. It's not just about mobility. It reflects cardiovascular strength, joint coordination, balance, oxygen efficiency, muscular stamina, and neuromotor function, all in one simple movement. Walking half a mile without stopping means your entire system is still integrated and resilient. But by the time most people reach 80, this distance becomes a challenge. Not because the body forgot how to walk, but because years of slowing down led to deconditioning. Here's what happens. We stop walking long distances out of habit. Muscle mass slowly declines, called sarcopenia. Joints stiffen, posture weakens. Lung capacity reduces. Fatigue shows up faster. Fear of falling makes us hesitant. And then when we need to walk, say at an airport, hospital, or family gathering, we realize we can't. In research from the Journal of the American Geriatric Society, seniors over 70 who could walk at least 0.5 miles per day had over 40% lower risk of cognitive decline and death within the next 5 years. Why? Because walking isn't just a leg exercise. It stimulates brain circulation, builds bone density, improves insulin sensitivity, reduces depression, and strengthens the immune system. So what can you do if you currently struggle with walking distance? Let's build it back, gently, safely, and daily. Here's a 4-week plan for walking independence. Week 1, baseline movement. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Walk at a comfortable pace, indoors or outdoors. Note how far you got and how you felt. Rest as needed. Do this twice per day. Week 2, increase by intervals. Add 1 to 2 minutes every 2 days. Use music or audio to stay motivated. Focus on upright posture, head up, shoulders back, gentle swing in arms. Week 3, distance focus. Measure out 0.25 miles, about 400 steps, or 2 to 3 city blocks. Walk that distance once per day, then twice. If balance is shaky, walk near a wall or railing. Safety first. Week 4, sustain the half-mile walk. 0.5 miles, 5 to 6 days a week. Do it in one go if possible. If not, take a short break halfway. If pain, arthritis, or neuropathy makes this difficult, use aquatic walking in a pool or a recumbent indoor bike to simulate the motion with less impact. The key is endurance, not speed. You're training your heart, lungs, and body to move freely without fear. And don't underestimate the mental benefits of walking. In studies on Alzheimer's prevention, seniors who walked at least 30 minutes a day had better memory, focus, and emotional well-being than those who didn't. Walking boosts endorphins, clears the mind, and reconnects you to your environment. Also, there's something emotionally powerful about walking unassisted. It says to the world, I'm still moving forward. It's about more than steps. It's about momentum. When you walk confidently, you feel less like a patient and more like a person in control. Carrying strength. Why lifting 10 to 15 pounds comfortably predicts independence, longevity, and confidence. There's a quiet dignity in being able to lift and carry your own groceries, or move a laundry basket, or pick up a small grandchild. For people over 80, this kind of functional strength isn't just a matter of convenience. It's a signal of independence, muscle preservation, and aging success. And that's why the ability to lift and carry 10 to 15 pounds comfortably makes our list of the 5 essential capabilities that only 5% of seniors maintain after 80. Let's put this into perspective. A gallon of milk weighs about 8.5 pounds. A medium grocery bag usually weighs between 10 and 15 pounds. So the simple act of carrying 2 grocery bags up a flight of stairs or from the car to the kitchen is a full-body test. It requires hand grip strength, forearm and bicep activation, shoulder stability, core engagement, leg strength, and balance. And it tells doctors far more than you might think. Studies show that seniors with higher grip strength live longer, recover faster from illness, have fewer falls, and even have lower rates of cognitive decline. In fact, grip strength has been called a biomarker of aging. Why is grip so important? Because it reflects more than just your hands. It's a stand-in for total body function. When your nervous system, muscles, and joints are communicating well, grip strength is high. When your body is under stress, metabolic, nutritional, or neurological, it weakens. And when you stop lifting things altogether, when someone else carries the bags, lifts the laundry, opens the jars, your muscles begin to shrink, your tendons stiffen, and your independence fades faster than you realize. Now here's the good news. Strength loss after 60 is not inevitable. It's reversible, and it doesn't take hours in a gym to restore it. With a few basic daily movements and intentional lifting, most seniors can rebuild strength in weeks. Here's how to train your lifting and carrying ability safely after 60 or 70. Grocery bag carries, light. Fill a tote bag with light items, books, cans, water bottles. Walk across the room with one bag in each hand. Do this once or twice a day. Gradually add more weight over time. Farmer's carries. Use light dumbbells, soup cans, or water jugs. Hold one in each hand, shoulders down, core tight. Walk slowly for 30 seconds. Rest, repeat. Deadlifts with a backpack. Stand with a backpack full of soft weight, towels, books. Hinge at the hips. Bend your knees and lift the bag from the floor using your legs. Keep your back flat. This trains safe lifting form. Seated bicep curls. With light weights, curl your arms up while seated. 10 reps per arm, twice a day. Builds forearm and upper arm strength. Grip squeezes. Use a tennis ball, towel, or grip trainer. Squeeze and hold for 5 seconds. Relax. Do 10 reps per hand. Great for hand strength and coordination. Do all of these slowly and mindfully. You're not training for powerlifting. You're training for real life, for groceries, for laundry, for bags, for hugs, for confidence. And remember, lifting doesn't just strengthen muscles, it strengthens your identity. When you can still carry your own bag, you feel less like a burden, more capable, more respected. That emotional strength matters just as much as the physical kind. Many of my older patients tell me how good it feels when they no longer need help lifting something simple. I opened that stubborn jar myself, Doc. I brought in all the bags without stopping once. These small victories are massive. They say, I'm still strong, I'm still me. The 10-second rule, balance and the #1 predictor of falling, hospitalization, and recovery speed after 80. Here we are, the final and perhaps most urgent of the 5 vital abilities that only 5% of people maintain after the age of 80. Balancing on one foot for at least 10 seconds. It seems so simple, so minor. But this one skill reveals more about your body's aging clock than most high-tech scans or blood tests. Because balance isn't just about posture. It's about brain health, nerve function, muscle coordination, and joint stability, working together in real time. ... In fact, studies from the British Journal of Sports Medicine show that people over 70 who can't balance on one foot for 10 seconds are twice as likely to die in the next 10 years, even if they don't have any known health conditions. Why? Because poor balance doesn't just lead to falls, it reflects hidden neurological decline, lost coordination, and slowed brain-body response times. Think of it like this. Every second you can balance on one foot after 80 is like a signal your body sends that says, I'm still sharp, I'm still connected. And if you can't do it today, don't worry. You can train it, like a muscle, and I'll show you how. But first, let's understand why balance matters so much after 80. As we age, several factors quietly chip away at our balance. Muscle loss, especially in the ankles and hips. Joint stiffness, less movement in knees, hips, spine. Vestibular decline, your inner ear's balance system. Vision changes. Eyes guide balance more than you realize. Slower brain response takes longer to detect and correct instability. The result? Seniors who once walked with confidence start to shuffle. They avoid curbs, uneven surfaces, getting into bathtubs, or walking in the dark. This leads to fewer steps, weaker muscles, more falls, and a dangerous spiral toward fragility. But the rare 5% who can still balance on one foot, they walk with purpose. They stand taller. They get out of chairs without grabbing something. And they recover from stumbles faster. Let's train this ability, safely and daily. Step 1, baseline test. Stand near a wall or countertop. Lift one foot slightly off the ground. Time how long you can hold without touching down or grabbing anything. Repeat with the other leg. If you can't reach 10 seconds, don't panic. Most people over 75 can't either. That's why we train it. Step 2, daily practice, 3 to 5 minutes. Supported stand. Hold onto a countertop with one hand, lift one foot, and hold for 15 seconds. Switch legs. Repeat 3 times per leg. Eyes open, no support. Try standing without holding anything. Eyes open, 1 foot lifted. Work toward 10 seconds. Eyes closed challenge. Only attempt this while lightly touching a counter. Close your eyes while lifting 1 foot. This trains inner ear balance. Step 3, functional movements. Heel to toe walking. Walk in a straight line, placing 1 foot directly in front of the other. This mimics a tightrope and trains coordination. Step overs. Place an object, like a rolled towel, on the floor and step over it slowly, focusing on control. These drills work best if done barefoot, on a firm surface, and preferably at the same time each day, like after brushing your teeth. Here's what I want you to know. Balance is a skill. And like any skill, you either train it or you lose it. Most people lose it by neglect. But if you train it just 5 minutes a day, you can dramatically reduce your risk of falls, fractures, especially hip fractures, emergency hospital visits, assisted living admission, loss of independence. And that's not all. Improved balance brings back confidence. You'll walk into a room without hesitation, step into a shower without fear, reach for a shelf without wobbling. These are not small victories, they're freedom. Let me tell you a story. One of my patients, Linda, age 84, came to me after 2 falls in a year. She said, "Doctor, I'm scared to walk around my own house." We worked on her balance with the exact drills I just shared. 3 months later, not only could Linda balance for 15 seconds on each foot, but she told me something I'll never forget. "I feel like I got my legs and my life back." And that's what I want for you. If you've made it through all 6 parts of this journey, congratulations. You now know the 5 abilities only 5% of seniors still have after 80. Get up from the floor without using your hands. Climb a full flight of stairs without stopping. Walk half a mile without assistance. Lift and carry 10 to 15 pounds easily. Balance on 1 foot for 10 seconds or more. If you can maintain or regain just 3 out of 5, your odds of staying healthy, independent, and alive for years to come skyrocket. So here's your mission. Start today. Pick one skill, commit 5 minutes to it. Then tomorrow, do the next. Your body is listening, and it wants to fight for you. Comment below, which skill will you work on first? Share this video with a senior friend or family member who needs to hear it. Subscribe to our channel for more practical senior health advice from me, Dr. James Hartley. You've got more strength in you than you think. Let's unlock it, one powerful movement at a time. At 70, many people are told, directly or indirectly, that their best days are behind them. Society tends to paint aging as a decline, a fade into quietness. But what if I told you the real secret to living well past 70 isn't about the absence of disease or even the presence of wealth, but about whether or not you wake up with purpose? Purpose isn't about having a job or chasing deadlines. It's deeper than that. It's the quiet hum in your chest when you open your eyes each morning. It's knowing that something you do today matters, even if it's just to one person, even if it's just to yourself. When a 70-year-old still wakes up with a reason to water the garden, to mentor a young person, to write, to volunteer, to feed the birds, to pray, to create, to love, they are winning at life. Let me tell you about Helen. She turned 71 last spring. A retired librarian, she spends her mornings walking to the community center with a stack of donated books. Every Tuesday, she leads a reading circle for underprivileged kids. "It's the reason I don't hit snooze," she laughs. "It's the reason I stretch, dress up, and stay sharp." Helen doesn't run marathons. She's not rich. She's had a knee replaced and takes medication daily. But she is fully alive because her life still feels meaningful. In fact, research backs this up. Studies from blue zones, places around the world where people live well into their 90s and beyond, consistently show that a sense of purpose, or ikigai as the Japanese call it, adds years to life. Purpose helps reduce stress hormones, stabilize blood pressure, and increase motivation to stay active and connected. Purpose doesn't have to be loud. You don't have to run a charity or teach at a university. Purpose can live in small, sacred routines. Sending a daily voice message to your grandchildren, growing herbs and gifting them to neighbors, writing letters to old friends, caring for a spouse or pet, recording life lessons to pass down. The point is, something must pull you forward. Purpose is what gets your feet on the ground and your heart out of bed. Without it, even the healthiest body begins to decline. With it, even a tired body will keep trying. Many older adults lose their sense of purpose when their careers end, when children move away, or when they outlive their spouse. But here's the beautiful truth. You can create new purpose at any stage. You can mentor younger people who need wisdom. You can join a cause that reflects your values. You can rediscover something that once brought you joy. Painting, poetry, prayer. There is no expiration date on meaning. If you're over 70 and still wake up thinking, "I have something to give, something to enjoy, something to complete," then you are already richer than most people your age. You are, in the deepest sense, winning. And if you don't yet feel this way, you're not too late. Purpose can be planted at 71, 81, or 91. And when it takes root, life becomes vibrant again. The second sign, you move your body every day, no matter how small the steps. If there's one universal truth about longevity, it's this: motion is medicine. At 70, 80, or even 90, the simple act of moving your body every single day, whether it's walking, stretching, dancing, or lifting a grocery bag, can be the difference between independence and decline. Let's be very clear. This isn't about going to the gym or having a six-pack. This is about staying engaged with your environment. Being able to get out of bed, open the refrigerator, bend down to pick something up, and walk down the hallway with confidence. These are not small things. These are the daily victories that keep life possible. When you move your body, you're telling it, "I still need you," and the body responds. Muscles don't fade as quickly. Bones don't weaken as fast. Joints stay lubricated. Blood keeps flowing. Lungs stay open. And perhaps most importantly, the mind stays sharp. Take Mr. Thomas, for example. He's 74, lives alone, and starts each morning with a 10-minute routine. A light stretch, 20 slow steps back and forth in his living room, and a few heel raises by the sink. That's it. But he hasn't missed a day in 5 years. His doctor says his balance is better than most 60-year-olds. Too often, seniors stop moving because they're afraid of falling. But ironically, It's the lack of movement that leads to weakness, which increases the fall risk even more. It becomes a cruel cycle, one we must break. The trick isn't doing more. It's doing something, consistently. March in place during commercials, walk the hallways after meals, use soup cans as light weights, do gentle ankle circles before bed, stretch your arms while sitting. These movements may seem insignificant, but science says otherwise. A study from Harvard found that just 15 minutes of light daily activity in older adults reduces risk of mortality by up to 22%. Movement also reduces joint stiffness, improves digestion, lowers blood pressure, and supports immune function. But beyond the physical, it builds mental confidence. The moment you stop fearing your own body is the moment you start trusting life again. And it doesn't have to be done alone. There are walking clubs for seniors, seated yoga videos online, and even TikTok grandmas dancing in their kitchens. The point is, your body is still willing. It just needs an invitation. So if you're 70 and you're still moving, even slowly, even imperfectly, you're not just functioning, you're fighting, you're living, you're winning. And if you're not yet moving daily, start now. Pick one movement, do it for a week, then add another. Let motion become your medicine. The third sign, you're still learning. Your mind hasn't retired. There's a quiet kind of rebellion in a 70-year-old learning something new. Society says, slow down, but you say, teach me. And that choice, to stay mentally active, is one of the clearest signs you're not just aging, you're aging brilliantly. Let's bust a myth right now. The brain does not have an expiration date. It's a living organ that thrives on challenge, stimulation, and novelty. In fact, neuroscience shows that new learning builds new neural pathways, even in older adults. The more you learn, the more connected and resilient your brain becomes. Learning doesn't have to mean sitting in a classroom. It can be trying a new recipe, watching documentaries, learning to use a smartphone or app, picking up a new hobby like sketching or puzzles, exploring genealogy or family history, reading a new genre. Every time you engage with something unfamiliar, you're exercising mental muscles. That's why seniors who continue learning are less likely to develop dementia and depression. Their brains remain elastic, curious, and adaptive. Take Rosa. She's 79 and recently started learning Italian through an app. She practices 20 minutes a day and writes down her favorite phrases. It keeps me on my toes, she laughs, and someday I'm going to Rome. She may or may not go, but the act of wanting to learn, the joy of progress, the stretching of her mind, that's what's making her feel 20 years younger. Learning also reactivates a part of the self that many seniors feel they've lost: agency. When you master a new skill or grasp a new idea, you feel powerful. You feel alive. You realize the world is still open to you. If you've ever looked up something new on YouTube, asked a grandchild how to use a feature on your phone, or read a book that challenged your thinking, you're already doing it. You're still learning, and that means you're still growing. But what if you haven't? What if you feel stuck in routine? Then let this be your invitation. Sign up for a local library event. Download a free audiobook. Start writing down your life story. Try journaling. Learn one new word a day. It's never too late, because when you stop learning, you stop expanding. And when you start again, even at 90, your world reopens. If you're 70 or beyond and still feeding your mind, you are not only surviving, you are thriving. You are winning. The fourth sign, you still laugh and connect with people. Joy and bonding still matter. If you're 70 or beyond and you still find reasons to laugh, you're winning at life more than you know. Laughter isn't just a byproduct of joy. It's a survival skill, especially as we age. Why? Because laughter connects us. It reduces stress, boosts the immune system, and reminds the brain that life is still worth showing up for. But this sign is about more than laughter. It's about connection, the quiet, healing power of companionship, friendship, and community. Whether it's a neighbor you wave to each morning, or a childhood friend you talk to on the phone once a week, staying socially connected is a lifeline for seniors. Let me share a story. John is 75 and lost his wife 4 years ago. For a while, he barely spoke to anyone. He stopped going out, stopped smiling. His daughter eventually convinced him to attend a weekly senior cafe at the local community center. The first few visits were hard, but then he met Harold, a retired train conductor who loved jazz just as much as John. They started talking, sharing stories, even playing dominoes. A few months later, John was laughing again. He was alive again. Connection heals. According to a Harvard study spanning 80 years, the single most consistent predictor of happiness and longevity wasn't income, health, or genetics. It was quality relationships. Not quantity, quality. Just a few good people in your circle can extend your life and improve your mood, sleep, and memory. You don't need a crowd. You need companions. A friend to share lunch with. A neighbor who checks in. A sibling who calls. A local group or club, the fifth sign you've made peace with the past and live in the now. Freedom of the mind. At 70, the mind becomes a museum of memories. Some beautiful, some painful, some we wish we could relive, and others we desperately wish we could forget. But here's the truth. Those who are truly winning at life in their 70s are not haunted by the past. They've made peace with it. Making peace doesn't mean forgetting or pretending. It means accepting, understanding that everything that happened, good or bad, shaped you, molded your strength, forged your compassion, gave you perspective. And once that acceptance comes, the mind finally lets go of the weight. You start living lighter. Seniors who make peace with their past don't dwell on regrets. They reflect, learn, forgive, and move forward. They don't replay old arguments or hold grudges for decades. They understand the value of serenity. They understand that time is too precious now to be spent looking backwards. Take Marjorie, for instance. At 76, she finally forgave herself for not being the perfect mother, for not finishing college, for the times she doubted herself. "It doesn't serve me anymore," she said. "The only thing that matters now is the next moment." There's wisdom in letting go, in no longer trying to rewrite the past, in no longer chasing approval or mourning things that didn't happen. That emotional freedom is rare, and it's one of the most powerful signs of a fulfilling life. But equally important is the ability to live in the now, to feel the sun on your face, to enjoy the taste of your morning tea, to listen to your grandchild's laughter without mentally drifting into yesterday's grief or tomorrow's fear. When you're present, you're alive. Not just existing, living. Being present doesn't require silence or meditation mats. It just means noticing. The way the breeze moves your curtain, the joy of a meal you cooked yourself, the calm of sitting alone without rushing to fill the silence, the gratitude for simply waking up today. Seniors who can stay present without being pulled into past mistakes or future worries are winning at a spiritual level. They become magnets of calm. People want to be around them. They radiate something most of us are still chasing: peace. And peace is not passive. It's the ultimate reward after decades of battling through life's storms. So, If you've made peace with your past and can feel joy in the ordinary present, you are not just living after 70. You're teaching the rest of us how to live. But there's still one final, most powerful sign left. The sixth sign: you give love freely and receive it with grace. The true meaning of winning at 70 plus. If you've reached 70 and your heart is still open, if you can still say, "I love you," still offer help, still smile at strangers, still hug someone without hesitation, then you are not just winning at life, you are shining. The final and most powerful sign of a life well lived after 70 is this: you give love freely without keeping score. And you allow yourself to receive it without guilt or resistance. This isn't the kind of love you had at 20. It's wiser. It's quieter. It's made of patience, empathy, forgiveness, and a deep knowing that love isn't just a feeling, it's a way of being. Too many people reach old age with walls built high from betrayal, grief, or pride. But the happiest, healthiest seniors, they've let those walls down. They let people in. They tell their family they care. They mentor. They pray for others. They cook, call, text, write, listen, visit. They love without needing anything in return. Take the story of Bill and Nora. Both in their 80s, they host a porch dinner every Sunday. Neighbors, grandkids, sometimes even strangers sit at their table. You can't run out of love, Bill says, so why not give it away like bread? But just as important as giving love is receiving it. Many seniors struggle with this. They feel like burdens. They refuse help. They push away care. But here's the truth. Allowing others to love you is a gift to them. It lets them express their own humanity. It teaches your children how to care. It shows your grandchildren what tenderness looks like. To receive love gracefully, without guilt, without protest, is to say, I know my worth. I know I'm still lovable. When you can give and receive love freely, you're not just surviving. You're nourishing your spirit and others too. That's legacy. That's strength. That's beauty. So let's tie it all together. If you are 70 or beyond, and you wake up with purpose, you move daily, you keep learning, you connect and laugh, you live in the present, you give and receive love freely, then you, my friend, are truly winning at life. Here's your call to action. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, someone who thinks aging is the end. Let them see what's possible. Subscribe for weekly insight, comfort, and keep this video short and motivation for life after 60. Leave a comment. What sign do you see in yourself? Or which one do you want to grow? Because this journey isn't over, not even close. You're not fading, you're blooming. Let's bloom together. Let me ask you something deeply personal. When was the last time you did something daily? Not once in a while, not after a doctor's warning, but every single day, that directly nourished your brain, your blood vessels, and your cancer-fighting cells. If you're like most seniors I see, the answer is, I'm not sure. And that uncertainty is where decline often begins. Today, I'm here not to scare you, but to empower you with one daily habit that science is now proving could reduce the risk of over 90% of age-related diseases. We're talking memory loss. We're talking clogged arteries. We're talking inflammation, diabetes, even cancer, all traced back to a single overlooked activity that, when practiced consistently, becomes a life-extending medicine. No, it's not a pill, not a supplement, not a fancy machine. It's something so simple and accessible that most people laugh when I tell them. It's daily walking. Yes, walking. Not sprinting, not marathons, not gym memberships, just good old-fashioned walking for 20 to 30 minutes a day. Now don't roll your eyes just yet, because what I'm about to share we'll show you how walking daily after 60 is not just about exercise. It's about rewiring your entire body from the inside out. It's about recharging brain cells, clearing out your arteries, lowering your cancer risk, improving your sleep, sharpening your focus, regulating blood sugar, boosting your immune system, and even enhancing your emotional health. Let's break it down. First, memory. Walking has been shown in MRI studies to literally grow the hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for memory and learning. A 2011 study from the University of Pittsburgh found that just 40 minutes of walking 3 times a week increased hippocampal volume in older adults, reversing age-related shrinkage. Second, your blood vessels. Walking stimulates nitric oxide production, which relaxes your arteries and lowers blood pressure. That's why people who walk regularly have up to a 30% lower risk of stroke and heart attack. Even short walks after meals can dramatically lower post-meal blood sugar spikes, which contribute to vessel damage. Third, cancer prevention. Walking reduces estrogen and insulin levels, 2 key hormones that fuel tumor growth. It also improves immune surveillance, meaning your body is better able to detect and destroy abnormal cells before they become a problem. One study from the American Cancer Society found that older women who walked at least 7 hours a week had a 14% lower risk of breast cancer. Another study showed that regular walking cut colon cancer risk by up to 50%. Now here's where it gets personal. I had a patient named Warren, 71 years old, former contractor, big, tough guy, came to me after a mini stroke. We ran all the tests. Nothing too alarming, but his blood pressure was creeping up, cholesterol borderline, memory foggy, and he hadn't exercised in years. I told him, "Warren, I'm not asking you to join a gym. I just want 30 minutes of walking a day, every day. No excuses." He grumbled, said he'd try. 6 months later, he came back. Blood pressure down 18 points. LDL cholesterol lower. Blood sugar stable. He looked younger. More importantly, he said, "Doc, I feel like my head's clear again, and here's the key." Warren didn't make any other changes. No crash diets, no medication tweaks. Just walking every single day, rain or shine, and his body began to heal. That's what walking does. Because walking is not just movement, it's momentum for your entire system. It boosts circulation, oxygenates your brain, stimulates lymphatic drainage, lowers cortisol, increases serotonin, and resets your circadian rhythm. It strengthens joints, ligaments, tendons, and teaches your body how to stay upright, coordinated, and engaged. And the best part? It's free. No side effects, no special equipment. All you need is a pair of shoes and a willingness to reclaim your health. The 7-day impact: how walking reverses your blood markers in a week. If you knew that a single daily habit could change your blood test results in just 7 days, would you try it? I'm not talking about months of waiting or vague wellness promises. I'm talking about real, measurable changes seen in your blood pressure, blood sugar, inflammation markers, and brain chemistry. After just 1 week of doing this daily. That's the kind of power walking holds. And in this part, I want to show you exactly how quickly your body responds to daily walking, especially after age 60. Let's begin with blood pressure. A meta-analysis published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine reviewed 391 trials and found that walking regularly for just 30 minutes per day lowered systolic blood pressure by an average of 5 millimeters Hg. That's comparable to what some medications achieve, and with 0 side effects. For seniors, this is critical. High blood pressure is the silent killer, linked to strokes, heart attacks, kidney failure, and even dementia. And what's beautiful about walking is that it doesn't spike pressure like some high-intensity workouts. Instead, it gently trains your vascular system to expand, relax, and circulate blood more efficiently. Now, let's talk blood sugar. In a fascinating 2013 study from the American Diabetes Association, participants who walked 15 minutes after each meal had significantly lower blood glucose levels than those who walked for 45 minutes once per day. This is because post-meal walking directly reduces insulin resistance and helps the body shuttle glucose into the muscles where it belongs. In just 7 days of post-meal walking, many seniors can reduce their fasting glucose levels by 10 to 20 points. For pre-diabetics, that could mean the difference between staying off medication or not. Next, let's look at inflammation markers. Walking reduces levels of C-reactive protein, CRP, a major marker of systemic inflammation. Elevated CRP is linked to cancer, autoimmune disorders, Alzheimer's, and more. But walking just 20 to 30 minutes a day for 1 week, CRP levels drop by up to 25%. Your joints feel looser, your mood lifts, your body begins to uninflame. That's not all. Just 7 days of walking also boosts brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, a powerful molecule that protects and regrows neurons. BDNF is like Miracle-Gro for your brain, and it increases after every session of moderate walking. You may notice clearer thinking, faster recall of names or words, better sleep quality, reduced anxiety and mood swings. One patient of mine, Teresa, 68 years old, struggled with mild memory lapses and afternoon brain fog. We didn't prescribe medication. We prescribed a daily morning walk in natural sunlight. Within 1 week, she reported improved clarity, fewer blips, and more energy by dinner time. Now, some people say, "Doc, I can't walk far. My knees hurt. My back aches." To that I say, you don't have to walk far. You just have to walk daily. Even if it's around your living room, even if it's 5 minutes at a time, 6 times per day. Movement is medicine, and your body adapts quickly. Here's a simple 7-day walking starter plan for seniors. Day 1, 5-minute walk in the morning and evening. Day 2, 5 minutes after lunch, plus morning-evening. Day 3, extend each walk to 7 minutes. Day 4, add a short walk after dinner. Day 5, reach 25 to 30 total minutes for the day. Day 6, try 10 continuous minutes if able. Day 7, celebrate progress. Review how your body feels. Also track changes like morning stiffness reduced, blood pressure reading lower. Are you sleeping better? Is your mind calmer? Most people see at least 2 to 3 improvements in the first 7 days, often more. Because when you walk, you're not just stretching your legs, you're stretching your lifespan. Walking versus disease. How this habit beats heart trouble, cancer, and memory loss. If someone handed you a single habit, free of cost, 0 side effects, and requiring no prescription, that could protect you against the top 3 causes of death after 60, would you take it? Because walking does exactly that. In this part, we'll break down how this simple daily activity reduces your risk of the 3 most feared diseases among seniors: heart disease, cancer, and dementia. Not just by a little, but by margins that rival or even exceed many medications. Let's start with the big one: heart disease. More than 650,000 Americans die each year from heart-related issues, and the majority of them are over 60. But walking just 30 minutes a day has been proven to reduce that risk by up to 35%. That's not hopeful thinking. That's data from long-term studies like the Harvard Nurses' Health Study and the British Regional Heart Study. Why does walking work so well? Because it strengthens the heart muscle through mild aerobic stress. It lowers LDL cholesterol and increases HDL, the good kind. It reduces triglycerides and improves insulin sensitivity, which stabilizes blood sugar. one of the silent drivers of arterial damage. It also prevents blood clot formation by improving circulation. That's why people who walk daily are less likely to suffer heart attacks, arrhythmias, and strokes, and sudden cardiac events, even if they don't change anything else. Now let's talk cancer. Cancer doesn't grow in a vacuum. It thrives in bodies with chronic inflammation, hormonal imbalance, and cellular stagnation. Walking disrupts all three. It lowers insulin and estrogen, two hormones that fuel cancer cell growth. It increases natural killer cell activity, immune cells designed to detect and destroy cancerous or precancerous cells. It promotes lymphatic drainage, which clears metabolic waste and toxins that otherwise build up. Tissue. According to the American Cancer Society, consistent walking lowers your risk of breast cancer by 14 to 20%, colon cancer by up to 50%, prostate cancer recurrence by 30% in survivors. And the benefit doesn't require speed walking. Moderate walking with daily consistency is all it takes. I once had a client, Margaret, age 74, who had survived early-stage colon cancer. She asked, "Doc, what can I do to never face that again?" My first answer, walk every day. That became her non-negotiable. She hasn't missed a single day in over 3 years. Her scans are clean. Her labs are great. But more importantly, she says she feels alive again. Walking gave me my body back, she told me. Now, perhaps the most feared disease of aging, dementia. Alzheimer's and other forms of cognitive decline are terrifying, not just because they steal memory, but because they rob identity. But here's what decades of research now shows. Walking increases cerebral blood flow to memory and language centers. It enhances the production of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which stimulates new brain cell growth. It reduces the buildup of beta-amyloid plaque, the sticky protein involved in Alzheimer's. One study from the University of California followed over 6,000 women aged 65 plus and found that those who walked the most had a 40% lower risk of cognitive decline. Here's why that matters. When you walk, your body pumps oxygenated blood not just to your legs, but to your brain. Your mind clears, your attention sharpens, your focus expands. Your executive functioning, which governs decision-making and speech, becomes more stable. Seniors who walk daily are more likely to maintain social conversation skills, navigate daily tasks independently, avoid depression and mood instability. In other words, walking doesn't just keep you alive, it keeps you you. So if you're wondering, is it really that simple? Yes, it is. A daily walk fights the big three killers more powerfully than you've been led to believe. Walking for the soul. How this habit heals loneliness, anxiety, and emotional pain. Let's pause for a moment, not to talk about the physical body, but about the emotional one. Because after 60, it's not just blood sugar or cholesterol that takes a toll. It's grief, it's loneliness. It's the slow, silent loss of identity, purpose, and connection. And walking, this one small, free act, becomes not only a medical tool, but a spiritual therapy. You see, I've sat with countless seniors who didn't come to me because of pain in their knees or pressure in their chest. They came because of something deeper. They said things like, "I don't feel needed anymore. I used to be so active, but now I just sit. I feel like I'm disappearing." And one of the first things I ask is, are you walking every day? Not because that fixes everything, but because it's the doorway to fixing something. Here's what we now know from psychology and brain science. Walking is a built-in antidepressant, especially for seniors. When you walk, Your brain releases endorphins, which lift mood and reduce pain. You get a spike in serotonin, the neurotransmitter that helps regulate happiness and emotional stability. The repetitive motion of walking activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that processes emotions, problem-solving, and future planning. In fact, one study from Stanford University found that walking increases creative thinking and emotional processing by up to 60%. This is why many people say, "I feel better after a walk," even if nothing changed. Because something did change. You did. But beyond brain chemistry, walking reintroduces you to something sacred, the outside world. Whether it's your street, a park, or just your backyard, walking reconnects you to the rhythms of nature, sunlight, birdsong, wind, fresh air, a sense of movement when everything else feels still, the feeling that you're part of something alive, and that matters deeply. Because one of the great losses after retirement or widowhood is routine, and walking brings back rhythm, ritual, and reward. I had a patient named Louise, 79. Her husband had passed 2 years earlier. She rarely left the house. When she did, it was only for errands. Her voice was soft. Her shoulders curved inward. She said, "What's the point anymore?" I asked her to start a 10-minute walk each morning, just around her block. No pressure, no speed. The first week was hard, but by week 3, something shifted. She began to nod at neighbors. Then one day she waved. By week 6, she was walking 20 minutes and had reconnected with a friend down the street. She told me, "The walking didn't fix everything, but it reminded me I was still here." That's the gift walking gives. It says to your spirit, you are still moving forward. And here's something beautiful. Walking while praying, listening to uplifting music, or repeating affirmations can double its emotional effect. Try this. With each step, say to yourself, "I am alive." Breathe in peace. Breathe out fear. Walk toward a destination, even if symbolic. And let's not forget the power of walking with someone else. Seniors who walk with friends or partners report higher happiness levels, deeper bonds, and reduced loneliness, even if the walk is only once or twice per week. If no one is available, consider a walking phone call. Call a family member and walk together, virtually. Or join a local walking club for seniors. These groups are popping up everywhere, and they're not about fitness. They're about connection. I believe that walking is not just medicine for the body, it's medicine for the soul. It reminds you of forward motion. It replaces sitting in sorrow with moving in possibility. And it's one of the few habits that feeds every part of you, physical, emotional, and spiritual. Creating a lifetime walking ritual after 60, your daily blueprint for lasting health. So far, we've explored how daily walking heals your body, mind, and spirit. But how do you take all of that knowledge and transform it into a consistent, lifelong practice? Something that becomes part of your identity, not just a passing health kick. In this final part, I want to show you how to build a walking ritual after 60 that sticks, one that adapts with your body, supports your health, and brings joy every single day. First, let's talk about the difference between a habit and a ritual. A habit is something we do automatically. Brush your teeth, turn on the coffee, check the mail. But a ritual is deeper. It's intentional, sacred, personal. A ritual has meaning, rhythm, and emotion attached to it. And when walking becomes a ritual, it becomes something you want to do, not just something you should do. So here's how to create your walking ritual. 1. Choose a consistent time. The brain loves patterns. When you walk at the same time each day, say 7:30 a.m., your body begins to prepare for it in advance. Cortisol rises to energize you. Muscles loosen. the routine becomes automatic. Morning walks are especially powerful because they set your circadian rhythm, boost morning metabolism, improve focus and mood throughout the day. But if morning isn't ideal, aim for the same general window daily: mid-morning, after lunch, or early evening. 2. Make it enjoyable. Enjoyment fuels consistency. That could mean walking with a loved one, listening to uplifting music or audiobooks, walking in a peaceful park or garden, noticing small joys, flowers, animals, faces. Don't just walk for steps. Walk for experience. 3. Create a ritual starter. Rituals often begin with a trigger or cue. This helps you transition mentally and physically into the activity. Examples: sip warm water or tea first. Put on the same walking shoes. Stretch for 1 minute beforehand. Say an affirmation: "This walk is my gift to myself." 4. Track your wins. Progress motivates. Use a wall calendar, journal, or simple checkmark to log your daily walk. Over time, those marks become momentum and proof that you're investing in yourself. You can also track steps walked, minutes completed, mood before versus after, sleep quality. Adjust without guilt. Some days you'll walk 30 minutes, others only 10. That's okay. The goal isn't perfection, it's consistency over time. Add, walk inside. If your legs hurt, do arm swings in place. If you're fatigued, take 3 5-minute walks instead of one long one. Remember, something is always better than nothing. Give it purpose. Attach your walk to something meaningful. Pray as you walk. Mentally rehearse things you're grateful for. Call a friend and share your steps. Reflect on your legacy, your story, your strength. Let walking become your daily renewal. And if you miss a day, don't shame yourself. Just pick it up again the next day. The power of walking comes not from the individual walk, but from the long string of them, stitched together into a new identity. You're not just someone who walks. You're someone who takes charge of your health. You're someone who shows up for your life. You're someone who says, "I may be 60, 70, 80, but I'm still here, and I still matter." Let me share this closing story. Harold was 88, widowed, lived alone, no fancy devices, no gym memberships. But every day at 8 a.m., he laced up his worn sneakers and walked to the mailbox and back, then around the block. Rain, sun, even snow. When I asked why he never skipped a day, he said, "Because I want my body to know I'm still moving forward." That, my friends, is the essence of longevity. So let's review your blueprint. Pick a time, make it enjoyable, anchor it with a cue, track progress, allow flexibility, give it purpose, start small, stick with it, let it grow. Because in the end, it's not just about movement, it's about momentum. Dr. James Hartley, walking with you in spirit every step of the way. Now go lace up. Your next 10 years are waiting. Let's talk about something most people ignore until it's too late. Bone loss after 70. One day you're walking fine, and the next, you're afraid of slipping on the kitchen floor. You hesitate before getting up from the couch. Your spine starts to feel heavy. And you're not alone. Nearly 70% of adults over 70 face accelerated bone thinning, what doctors call osteopenia or osteoporosis, without even knowing it. But here's the part that shocks people most. This decline often starts suddenly, and not from age alone. It begins with the little things: skipping meals, avoiding dairy, less time outdoors, and not moving as much. And before you know it, your bones aren't getting the fuel they need. they become weak, brittle, and dangerously fragile. Let me tell you about Ellen. She's 74, full of life, and always considered herself healthy enough. But last winter, she bent over to tie her shoe and felt a crack in her back. A minor movement caused a spinal fracture. Her doctor said her bones were as thin as tissue paper. She couldn't believe it. "I don't drink. I don't smoke. I eat well," she said. But when they broke it down, Ellen was low on magnesium, vitamin K2, and collagen-rich proteins. She had calcium, but without the other ingredients, it wasn't reaching her bones. This story is too common, and yet it's totally preventable if you understand the biology of aging bones. You see, after 70, your body's ability to absorb and use key nutrients declines. You need more of the right foods, not less. And one specific type of food, often ignored in modern Western diets, has been proven to strengthen bones noticeably in just 30 days when consumed consistently. This isn't a supplement, it's a food. And it's been used in cultures known for virtually no bone fractures, even in their 90s. We talked about how fragile bones can become after 70, and how nutrient deficiencies, not just age, cause rapid deterioration. Now it's time to meet your new best friend, bone broth. Yes, that's right. The same old-fashioned broth your grandmother may have made is now at the center of some of the most exciting breakthroughs in senior nutrition. Bone broth isn't just a warm comfort food. It's a collagen-packed, mineral-rich super drink for your bones. Let's break it down. Bone broth is made by simmering the bones and connective tissues of animals, usually chicken, beef, or turkey, for long periods. During this time, the bones release collagen, gelatin, glucosamine, and minerals like calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus directly into the broth. Why does this matter after 70? Because collagen is the protein that forms the framework of your bones. And starting in your 60s, your body makes less and less of it. That's why fractures heal slower, joints ache more, spines shrink. But consuming collagen-rich broth gives your body the raw materials it needs to rebuild what's been lost. Unlike calcium tablets that often pass right through your system, bone broth offers a bioavailable form of minerals and proteins your bones can actually use. Let me share Ruth's story. She's 76 and had 2 wrist fractures in 1 year. Her doctor told her to get more calcium, but her granddaughter, a nutritionist, introduced her to homemade bone broth. Within 6 weeks of having 1 cup daily, Ruth noticed her nails getting stronger, her knees less creaky, and her balance improving. At her next scan, her bone density had increased 4%. Her doctor said, "I rarely see that at your age. Here's how to add bone broth into your daily life. Buy or make it." Many health stores sell high-quality frozen or shelf-stable broths. Drink it like tea. 1 warm cup in the morning with a pinch of sea salt is deeply nourishing. Cook with it. Use it to make soups, rice, stews, or even scrambled eggs. Add flavor. A touch of turmeric, ginger, or black pepper makes it even more anti-inflammatory. Even if you're vegetarian or dislike meat, there are plant-based versions using seaweed, mushrooms, and root vegetables. Though they offer less collagen, they still supply minerals. The key is consistency. 1 cup a day, every day, for 30 days, and you'll feel the difference. Your posture improves. Your steps feel lighter. Your bones feel stronger. Let's make it even more effective. Because collagen, as wonderful as it is, cannot do its job alone. Think of it like a builder who arrives on the job site with tools, but no nails or blueprint. It's only when you combine collagen with 3 key bone-enhancing nutrients that you unlock full healing and strength. Let's talk about the support team that every senior needs after 70. Vitamin K2, magnesium, and vitamin D3. 1. Vitamin K2. The calcium traffic cop. Most seniors are told to take calcium, but they're never told where it ends up. Without vitamin K2, calcium can land in the wrong places, like your arteries rather than your bones. That's where K2 steps in. It redirects calcium to the bones, keeping your heart safe and your skeleton strong. Good sources of K2. Fermented foods, natto, sauerkraut, aged cheeses, pastured egg yolks, grass-fed butter. K2 supplements, MK7 is ideal for older adults. Add one of these daily, especially with your bone broth. 2. Magnesium, the silent bone builder. Magnesium helps convert vitamin D into its active form and also regulates bone cell activity. Yet nearly 80% of adults over 60 are magnesium deficient. Signs include muscle cramps, poor sleep, fatigue, and anxiety, all of which make bone loss worse. Sources of magnesium: pumpkin seeds, almonds, spinach, black beans, magnesium glycinate, supplements easier on digestion. A sprinkle of pumpkin seeds in soup or a daily magnesium-rich snack can work wonders. 3. Vitamin D3, the absorption key. You might have calcium and collagen, but without D3, your body can't absorb or use either effectively. Most seniors don't get enough sunlight or dietary D3. That's why fractures increase in winter. D3 can be found in fatty fish, salmon, sardines, egg yolks, cod liver oil. D3 supplements. Get blood levels tested for accuracy. Take D3 in the morning with a little fat for best absorption. Putting it all together. Each day, build your routine like this. Morning: warm bone broth with turmeric plus a D3 plus K2 supplement. Afternoon: magnesium-rich snack, pumpkin seeds, almonds. Evening: light movement to stimulate bone remodeling. With this trio supporting your collagen, your body begins repairing bone tissue faster, more deeply, and more safely. You don't just maintain bone mass, you build it back. Daily mistakes that slowly weaken your bones, even if you eat right. Now that you've added bone broth and its 3 critical allies, vitamin K2, magnesium, and D3, let's address something just as important: what not to do. Because unfortunately, there are habits that can quietly erase all your progress, even if you eat perfectly. Let's talk about the 5 daily mistakes that sabotage bone strength in people over 70 and how to fix each one. 1. Too much sitting. This one's the silent killer. Bones grow stronger under pressure and weight. The more you sit, the less stimulation your bones receive, especially in the hips and spine. That's why falls lead to fractures so easily in sedentary seniors. Fix it. Set a timer to stand and stretch every 30 minutes. Gentle weight-bearing exercise, like walking, light squats, or even climbing stairs, stimulates new bone formation. Just 15 minutes twice a day makes a huge difference. 2. Acidic beverages, especially cola. Cola and other dark sodas contain phosphoric acid, which pulls calcium from bones to neutralize its acidity. Seniors who drink these regularly show faster bone loss in medical studies. Fix it. Replace soda with bone broth, herbal teas, or lemon water. These hydrate and alkalize the body while nourishing your frame. 3. Too much salt. High sodium intake forces the body to excrete more calcium through urine. If your diet is full of processed foods, canned soups, or salty snacks, your bones are paying the price. Fix it. Choose low-sodium versions, use herbs and spices for flavor, and aim to cook fresh meals at least twice a week. 4. Calcium blockers, caffeine and alcohol. Both caffeine and alcohol reduce calcium absorption and increase excretion. A cup of coffee is fine, but drinking 3 or more a day, especially without food, can reduce bone density over time. Fix it. Limit coffee to 1 or 2 cups max. If you enjoy wine, try bone-friendly red varieties with meals. And no more than a glass a day. 5. Ignoring protein. Many seniors reduce protein because of dental issues or digestion. But bones are made of protein, too. Collagen is a protein. Without enough, your bone matrix weakens. Fix it. Add soft proteins like eggs, Greek yogurt, lentil soup, or protein shakes. Bone broth counts here too. You could be taking the best supplements, drinking the perfect broth, and still losing bone if these 5 habits go unchecked. But the good news? Each is 100% fixable. The 30-day Bone Strength Challenge. Start today, feel it forever. If you've made it here, you're ready. Not just to protect your bones, but to rebuild them. And yes, that's possible. Because everything you've learned in the last 4 parts isn't theory. It's action. It's your blueprint to waking up 30 days from now feeling taller, stronger, and more confident. Here's what I want you to know. It's not too late. Even at 70, 80, or beyond, your bones are living tissue. They're listening, and they will respond when you give them the tools, the movement, and the nutrients they've been quietly begging for. Let's bring this all together with the 30-day Bone Strength Challenge. Your daily plan. 1. Morning ritual. 1 warm cup of bone broth, ideally homemade or high-quality store-bought. Add turmeric and black pepper for anti-inflammatory benefits. Take a D3 plus K2 supplement with it, MK7 form preferred. 2. Movement. 10 to 15 minutes of gentle weight-bearing exercise. Brisk walking, climbing stairs, Tai Chi, or light resistance training. Do balance exercises like standing on 1 foot while brushing your teeth. 3. Afternoon nutrition. Snack on magnesium-rich foods, almonds, pumpkin seeds, or black beans. Add soft protein to your meals, scrambled eggs, lentil stew, Greek yogurt. 4. Evening support. Herbal tea instead of sugary drinks. No cola, low sodium. And protein at dinner. Gentle stretching or a short walk to wind down. Track it. Print a calendar. Check off each day. Journal how you feel. Take a photo of your posture on day 1 and day 30. Why this works? Because consistency is how the body heals. Not perfection. Not pills alone. Just small actions, stacked daily, building your bones back up from the inside out. Real people, real results. Ellen's spinal pain vanished by week 3. Ruth's wrists felt stable again. Martin, 80, got up from his chair without groaning for the first time in years. This could be you. So here's your call to action. Don't just watch, do. Don't just learn, live it. Hit subscribe if you want more real tools to reclaim your health and confidence. Like this video if you believe strong bones equals strong life. Share it with someone you love who needs to hear. Your body is still capable. Because after 70, you deserve to feel rooted, balanced, and powerful. Your bones aren't done. You're not done. Start your 30-day challenge today and let the strength ret. Let's start with the first phrase that should send alarm bells ringing in any senior's mind. You're overreacting. Now, on the surface, it may seem like a harmless, even well-meaning statement. Maybe your adult child says it when you express concern about a financial decision, or when you question something they said or did, or when you feel hurt by a tone or a comment. But underneath this simple phrase is a subtle, powerful attempt to shrink your emotions, dismiss your wisdom, and override your instincts. And I'll say it clearly, if you're over 60 and your child regularly says this to you, it's time to pause and reconsider the health of that relationship. Because this phrase, whether they know it or not, is often used as a tool of emotional invalidation. It's not just that they disagree. It's that they're telling you, your feelings are not real. Your concern is not legitimate. Your reaction doesn't matter. Let's break this down from a medical and psychological perspective. As we age, emotional regulation becomes more refined, not less. The brain processes social interactions with more care. That means if something bothers you deeply, it's not because you're irrational. It's because your life experience is sounding a warning. When a senior says, "This doesn't feel right," or "That hurt me," we should lean in and listen, not wave it off. But when an adult child replies, "You're overreacting," it introduces doubt. It makes you question your own emotional compass. And for many older adults, that leads to self-silencing. They stop bringing things up. They start walking on eggshells. They internalize blame. Now here's why that's dangerous. Silence in old age is not peace. It's stress. And chronic emotional stress, especially from family dynamics, has real physical effects. It raises cortisol, weakens the immune system, worsens sleep, and increases the risk of depression and even cognitive decline. That's not theory, that's biology. So when your child uses "you're overreacting" as a default reply, it's not just rude. It's a toxic pattern that could be quietly harming your health. Let me share a story. A patient of mine, Mrs. Adler, age 76, came in complaining of heart palpitations and insomnia. After several tests, her heart was fine. But during our conversation, she told me how her son, whom she had recently moved in with, kept brushing off her concerns. When she asked him to speak more kindly, he replied, "You're too sensitive, Mom. You're overreacting." Over time, she started believing him. She stopped speaking up. She felt invisible in her own home. When I asked her, "Do you feel safe emotionally?" she broke down in tears. You see, emotional safety is just as vital as physical safety. And for many older adults, emotional invalidation from children becomes a chronic, invisible wound. So what should you do when you hear this phrase? First, don't argue. That only reinforces their belief that you're being dramatic. Instead, calmly respond with clarity. "I'm not overreacting. I'm expressing how I feel, and I expect to be heard." Second, set a boundary. Let them know that dismissing your emotions is not acceptable. You might say, "If you continue to downplay my concerns, I'll have to stop this conversation." Third, walk away, literally or emotionally. If the pattern continues, you don't have to cut ties, but you do have the right to withdraw emotionally from conversations that harm you. And finally, reclaim your voice. Talk to a therapist, a friend, a senior group. Don't let your perspective be silenced. You are not overreacting. You are reacting to years of wisdom, experience, and insight. Your feelings matter. Your intuition matters. And any child who repeatedly says otherwise is not protecting your heart. They're slowly breaking it. You don't need to worry about that. When reassurance turns into control. Let's move on to the second phrase that sounds comforting on the surface, but often signals something deeply troubling underneath. You don't need to worry about that. It might be said casually, when you ask about a bank transaction, question a medical bill, or wonder about a household decision. Your child may say it with a smile, with a hand on your shoulder, with a tone that sounds soothing. But what they're really doing is closing a door to information, to agency, and often to your right to participate in your own life. Now, I want to be very clear here. Not all reassurances are bad. A loving child might say, "Don't worry about dinner, I've got it." Or, "You don't need to worry about calling the plumber. I already did." That's kindness. That's service. That's support. But when the phrase is used to shut down your interest in serious matters, especially regarding your money, health, or living arrangements, then we have a problem. A big one. Let's talk about why this phrase is so damaging for seniors. As we age, one of the greatest threats to our health isn't disease, it's loss of autonomy. When people start making decisions for us instead of with us, something starts to break inside. We feel like passengers in our own life. We stop asking questions. We lose clarity. And that disempowerment leads to stress, confusion, and in some cases, abuse. Yes, I said it, abuse, because some adult children, whether through control, greed, or misguided protection, will use phrases like, "You don't need to worry about that," to hide financial exploitation, to take over bank accounts, to sign papers without explaining, to move a parent into a care facility without full transparency. I once had a patient named Mr. Langley, 82, who came to me confused about why he couldn't access his savings. His son had taken over as power of attorney. When Mr. Langley asked about it, the reply was always the same. "Don't worry, Dad. You don't need to worry about that. I've got it covered." It wasn't until a social worker intervened that we learned the son had been using the money for personal debt. Mr. Langley's financial independence was gone. His trust had been shattered. Now again, not every child who says this phrase has bad intentions. But even when used innocently, it can create a dangerous habit of withholding, and withholding creates distance, confusion, and vulnerability. So what can you do if your child often says this to you? First, ask for clarity. Calmly say, "I understand you're trying to help, but I still want to understand what's going on. Please walk me through it." Second, affirm your role. Remind them, "This affects me, and I deserve to be part of the decision." Third, write it down. Keep notes of any major topics they dismiss. If you feel something is being hidden from you, talk to a trusted third party, a financial advisor, a doctor, or an elder care attorney. Fourth, resist the temptation to withdraw. Some seniors stop asking because they don't want to bother their kids. But silence is not safety. It's surrender, and you deserve better. Here's a mindset shift I teach all my patients. You are still the CEO of your life. Your age doesn't change that. Delegating tasks is fine, but surrendering full control without understanding the details, that's not aging, it's erasure. So if you ever hear that phrase, "You don't need to worry about that," ask yourself, is this love speaking, or is this a wall going up? If it feels like a wall, it probably is. And if your child resists transparency, that's a red flag. No loving relationship fears questions. You owe us for everything we've done. When gratitude becomes guilt. Let's now turn to a phrase that can pierce deeper than any insult and twist the sacred bond between parent and child. You owe us for everything we've done. At first glance, it may sound like frustration, a moment of emotional overwhelm. Maybe your son or daughter has been helping you with doctor's appointments, managing medications, or driving you to physical therapy. And one day, in a heated moment, they say, "After all I've done, you owe me." Or perhaps they don't say it in anger. Maybe they say it with a tired sigh, with passive-aggressive undertones. But however it's said, this phrase carries a message that no senior should ever be forced to swallow. That your worth, your freedom, and your dignity are conditional. Let me say this plainly. Love is not a debt. Care is not a contract. When your child helps you in your old age, they are honoring a relationship, not collecting a bill. But when they turn that care into a transaction, when they make you feel like you're a burden or a debtor, that is not love. That is emotional manipulation. I've seen this pattern more times than I can count in my practice. Older adults come in, struggling with unexplained anxiety, loss of appetite, tension headaches. And when we dig deeper, we find a toxic emotional loop playing at home. It often sounds like, "We put our lives on hold for you. You're lucky we haven't put you in a home. Do you know how much stress you've caused us?" These are not just complaints. They're power moves meant to shame you into silence, to remind you that any help you receive is conditional. And often, this emotional blackmail is a prelude to coercion. "Since we help so much, you should let us handle your finances. We deserve a say in your will. You should sell your house and move in with us. After all, we've done everything for you." Sound familiar? Now let's be clear. Gratitude goes both ways. Yes, it's kind and right to appreciate your children's help. But true gratitude is freely given, not demanded. And your past as a parent, decades of raising them, feeding them, protecting them, sacrificing for them, is not erased because you now need help with daily tasks. You do not owe your children your freedom. You do not owe your children your silence. You do not owe your children your dignity. If they truly loved you, they would offer support without scorekeeping. That's what family does. That's what healthy relationships look like. Now let's talk about the emotional impact of this phrase. When seniors feel like a burden, their mental health deteriorates rapidly. They stop asking for help even when they need it. They isolate. They feel guilt where there should be connection. And over time, that guilt eats away at their confidence, their independence, and even their physical health. I've seen it cause ulcers, blood pressure spikes, and chronic fatigue, all from emotional strain. So what do you do when you hear this phrase? First, don't argue, don't defend, don't beg. Simply respond with calm strength. Love isn't a transaction. If you feel overwhelmed, we can talk about solutions, but guilt is not one of them. Second, protect your emotional space. If your child continues to use guilt as a tool, create distance. That may mean less time together. That may mean involving a third party, another family member, counselor, or elder advocate. Third, remind yourself of your worth. You have given years, decades of your life in service to your family. That history matters. That legacy matters. You are not a debtor. You are a parent. And your need for support does not erase your role or your respect. Lastly, write this somewhere you can see it every day. I am not a burden. I am a blessing who has loved deeply and who deserves love without condition. You're just getting old and confused. The cruelty of gaslighting by those you love. There are few phrases more damaging to a senior's dignity than this one. You're just getting old and confused. It might be muttered with a smirk, dropped into a disagreement, or thrown out casually to dismiss your memory, your instincts, or even. But let me tell you as plainly as I can, this is gaslighting, and it can erode your mental health and confidence faster than almost any insult. Let's understand what gaslighting really is. When someone tries to make you doubt your own reality, when they rewrite what happened and they act like you're the one who got it wrong. Over time, it makes you question your own memory, your judgment, even your sanity. And when it comes from your own children, that betrayal runs deep. Here's what's most tragic about this phrase. It often targets the very strength that comes with age, wisdom. Seniors often have sharper pattern, deeper emotional insight, and stronger gut instincts than younger adults. You've seen more, you've lived through more, and you know when something doesn't feel right. But when your adult child says, "You're just confused," they're trying to dismiss your concern by attacking your mental clarity. Let me share a patient's story. A man named Gerald, 81, came to me concerned that his daughter had changed the terms of a joint bank account. When he confronted her about it, she laughed and said, "Dad, you're just getting old and confused. You must have signed that years ago." But Gerald was sharp. He had detailed notes, and after reviewing the papers together, I confirmed she had indeed changed the terms without his full understanding. That wasn't forgetfulness. That was financial manipulation, and the gaslighting phrase was her way of covering it up. Now, yes, it's true that memory changes with age. Some forgetfulness is normal, but that doesn't mean every mistake is confusion, and it certainly doesn't give anyone the right to undermine your credibility. Here's how this behavior harms seniors. Self-doubt. You begin second-guessing every decision. Fear of speaking up. You stop asking questions or raising concerns. Withdrawal. You pull away from family, friends, and social interactions. Depression. Feeling unheard and invalidated can trigger hopelessness. So what can you do when someone says, "You're just old and confused"? 1. Keep written records. This is your best defense. Write down conversations. Keep copies of any financial or medical paperwork. If someone tries to change the story, you'll have a paper trail. Stay sharp, intentionally. Challenge your mind daily. Read. Do crosswords. Watch documentaries. Join a discussion group. Take notes. This doesn't just improve memory. It reinforces your confidence in your intellect. Involve a third party. If your child continues to dismiss you, bring in someone objective. This could be a doctor, a family friend, or even an attorney. Having a witness can stop gaslighting in its tracks. Set verbal boundaries. Say it clearly. "Please don't speak to me that way. I may be older, but I'm not confused, and I won't accept being treated like I am." Trust your gut. If something feels off, speak up. The people who love you will listen. The ones who don't may try to discredit you. Here's a truth I want you to remember every day. Age does not equal confusion. Experience is not dementia, and suspicion is not forgetfulness. You have earned the right to be heard. You have earned the right to be believed. You're being selfish when caring for yourself is framed as a crime. If you're over 60 and you've ever heard the words "you're being selfish" come out of your child's mouth, especially after expressing your own needs or desires, please stop and take a deep breath. Because this phrase, more than most, is a manipulation trap disguised as moral high ground. Let's unpack it. As we age, one of the hardest battles we face is not against time or illness, it's against erasure. Our wants, our preferences, our comfort can slowly be pushed aside for the sake of the family. And when we resist, when we say no, when we ask for respect, when we push back, we are often slapped with the label of selfishness. But here's the truth, and I need you to let it sink in. Advocating for yourself is not selfish. It is survival. I once worked with a woman named Clara, 79, who told her daughter she didn't want to move in with her. Clara enjoyed her privacy. She had her church, her garden, her routine. But her daughter, already planning to convert a guest room, became angry. "You're being selfish, Mom," she said. "After everything I've done, you can't even live with us?" That single sentence triggered months of guilt and tension. But let's pause here. Clara wasn't being selfish. She was exercising autonomy. She was honoring her own mental health. She was choosing the life that gave her joy. And that isn't selfish. It's wise. Too often, adult children define selfish as doing something I don't like. If you don't follow their plan, if you don't hand over control, if you don't agree with their ideas, you must be selfish. That's not only unfair, it's emotional coercion. Here are common examples. You say you don't want to sell your home. They say, You're being selfish by keeping it. You don't want to babysit every weekend. They say, "We need you. You only think of yourself." You ask for financial independence. They say, "You don't care how hard it is for us." In each of these cases, the word selfish is being used as a weapon to shut down your boundaries. Now, from a clinical perspective, here's what happens when seniors internalize this guilt. You start saying yes when you mean no. You overextend yourself and burn out. You feel resentful, but stay silent. Your health suffers from stress, overwork, or anxiety. That's not peace. That's emotional erosion. So how do you fight back? Start with a powerful phrase. "It's okay to take care of myself." Say it often. Say it out loud. Let it replace the voice of guilt. When someone says you're selfish, respond with calm clarity. "No, I'm setting a boundary that protects my health and my joy." That's not selfish. That's self-respect. You can also ask this question in return. Would you call a friend selfish for doing what they need to feel safe and happy? Most likely they wouldn't. So why apply a different standard to you? Remember, you spent decades putting your family first, raising children, working, sacrificing. Now, in your later years, wanting peace, freedom, or rest is not only reasonable, it's essential. And if your child continues to guilt trip you, it may be time to reevaluate the power dynamic. Love does not demand self-abandonment. Healthy relationships include space for no. Lastly, give yourself permission to enjoy things without shame. Enjoy your quiet mornings. Enjoy your independence. Enjoy your hobbies, your friends, your alone time. You are not on this earth to endlessly prove your usefulness. You've earned the right to live for you. We're only doing this for your own good. When love is used to take away your voice. Let's end with a phrase that wears a mask of kindness but often hides something far more troubling beneath the surface. We're only doing this for your own good. It's a phrase that sounds reassuring at first. Who wouldn't want someone looking out for their best interests? Who wouldn't want a family that's stepping in out of love? But when this phrase is used to silence, to override your choices, or to take control of your life without your full understanding or consent, it crosses a dangerous line. Let's call it what it often is: emotional gaslighting dressed as care. This phrase tends to show up in moments where your autonomy is under threat. We moved your savings into a joint account for your own good. We've scheduled you to move into assisted living for your own good. We took away your car keys for your own good. We've been handling your medications and doctor visits. You don't need to worry anymore. Now let's be clear. In some situations, intervention may be necessary. If a parent is truly unsafe, cognitively impaired, or physically at risk. But here's the problem. This phrase is too often used prematurely, carelessly, or manipulatively. The danger lies in the assumption that just because you're older, you no longer get a say, that your input doesn't matter, that decisions can be made about you, not with you. I once had a patient named Dolores, 83, who came into my office devastated. Her daughter had signed her up for a senior living facility without ever visiting it with her. "We're only doing this for your own good," her daughter said. But Dolores wasn't ready to leave her home, her garden, her neighbors, or her independence. She felt betrayed. And worse, she felt invisible. Because that's what this phrase does. It renders you powerless under the illusion of protection. Here's the truth. Seniors do not lose the right to self-determination just because they've celebrated more birthdays. Your voice matters. Your preferences matter. Your experiences deserve respect, not replacement. So what should you do when you hear "it's for your own good" and it doesn't sit right? First, ask for transparency. Say, "I appreciate your concern, but I want to understand the full details. Show me what you've done. what options were considered, and why you think this is the best path. Second, insist on participation. Let them know you are not a bystander in your own life. I may be older, but I'm still capable of making decisions about my care, my home, and my money. Third, bring in an advocate. This could be a social worker, elder law attorney, friend, or trusted relative. Sometimes just having a neutral party present shifts the power dynamic and brings fairness into the discussion. Fourth, document everything. If major changes are happening, especially around finances or housing, keep written records, request copies, and stay informed. Knowledge is power. And finally, trust your gut. If it feels wrong, it probably is. If it feels rushed, demand more time. If it feels controlling, push back. Even when you love your children, you are not obligated to accept every decision they make in your name. Let's rewrite this phrase into something healthier. We want to help, but we want your opinion first. Let's figure out what works best for you. Your voice leads the way. We're just here to support. That is love. That is respect. That is how families grow stronger, not more divided. So to every senior watching this, if you ever feel dismissed, controlled, or overridden in the name of your own good, remember, you are not a project. You are a person, and no one has the right to take away your autonomy under the false flag of affection. Stand tall, speak clearly, and walk away from anyone, even family, who refuses to hear you. If this series opened your eyes to patterns in your family dynamic, please like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more honest conversations about aging, boundaries, and emotional health. Let's build a world where seniors are respected, heard, and empowered, not patronized. You deserve that. You always. Let's start with something few doctors will tell you. There's a small, almost secret group of seniors, about 3%, who don't just survive after 80, they thrive. They walk steadily, think clearly, laugh often, and wake up each morning with energy and intent. These individuals live on their own terms, strong, sharp, and deeply alive. What makes them different? It's not random, it's not luck, and it's not just about good genes. It's about 5 very specific things they do that signal true biological resilience. These 5 capabilities, if you can still do them after 80, aren't just signs of good health. They are predictors of independence, protection against decline, and even indicators of how many years you likely have ahead. And the truth? Most people lose 1 or more of these abilities by their late 70s, not because they have to, but because no one told them how to protect them. But once you understand what these 5 signs are and how to nurture them daily, you gain a real edge. So in the 6-part series, I'm going to walk you through each of these 5 things. I'll explain why it matters, what it means when it disappears, and most importantly, how to get it back or keep it as long as possible. But first, let's understand what's really going on after age 80. The world assumes that old age means deterioration. Doctors start focusing more on comfort than strength. Families expect you to slow down. Friends quietly withdraw. Your world can begin to shrink, both physically and emotionally. And the moment you believe it, you start handing over your vitality. But that 3%, the ones who seem to defy time, they believe something different. They still challenge themselves. They stay interested in life. They monitor their bodies like a pilot checks a cockpit. And they build micro-habits that preserve the functions most others take for granted. So what are these 5 powerful signs that reveal real longevity? I'll give you the overview now, and we'll explore each one in depth in the coming parts.